Listen carefully, because this world doesn't care. It won't pause when you're tired. It won't bend because you're broken. There is no mercy woven into the fabric of reality. Out here, hesitation is a blade at the throat. Out here, weakness isn't a lesson. It's a sentence. There are no saviors coming. No guiding hand from the sky. Just the cold eyes of a system that watches without pity as people crumble under the weight of things they never asked for. And in that silence, something brutal becomes clear. The weak die waiting for signs, for help, for someone to say, it's your turn now. But the world doesn't hand out turns. It doesn't reward patience, it punishes it. While some sit still, hoping things will change, others are sharpening their minds like steel, building the will to change things themselves. And that's where the shift begins. Not in muscle or magic or some blessed miracle. No. The first battle is mental. Always. It's the war no one sees, the kind that wages behind the eyes. It starts when the mind finally stops running and dares to face the thing it's feared most. Reality. Not the sugar-coated version. Not the story that says everything happens for a reason. The raw, unfiltered truth, cruel, loud, and unforgiving. And still, there is power in that moment. Because truth, as brutal as it is honest. It won't lie. And when truth is finally looked in the face without flinching, something ancient stirs deep within. Not hope. Something older than hope. Resolve. The bone-deep instinct to stand even when knees shake. To step forward, not because there is light, but because there is no other choice but forward. See, the chains around the mind were never physical. They were forged in fear, in silence, in surrender. But the moment the truth is accepted, not just known, but accepted, is the moment those chains begin to crack. Because now, the question changes. It's no longer, why is this happening? It becomes, so what now? And now is the pivot point. The line in the sand. The heartbeat where one decides to stop shrinking. No more waiting for better days. No more praying for easier trials. Because the fire that breaks most people, that same fire can forge the rest. But only if it's faced, straight on. No detours, no escape, no fantasy of someone else saving the day. The warrior doesn't run from the dungeon. They descend into it. Not because they're fearless, but because fear has been weighed and deemed irrelevant. Let the world throw its worst. Let the odds stack up. Let the silence stretch long and cold. Face it anyway. Because those who dare to confront the thing they fear most, whether it's failure, judgment, abandonment, or their own reflection, are the ones who walk out different. Not unscarred, not untouched, transformed. Call it unfair, call it cruel, call it whatever you want. But understand this, it's real. And anything real can be faced, anything faced can be fought. And anything fought can eventually be overcome. Even if it takes everything. Especially if it takes everything. So if the world is dark, then be darker. If the climb is steep, dig deeper. Because the truth is this. The dungeon doesn't decide who survives. The mindset does. Strength isn't about standing tall. It's about refusing to stay down. So rise, not when you're ready. Now, not when it's easy. Now. Not when someone tells you you can. Now. Because the world isn't going to wait, and neither should you. There comes a moment in every warrior's journey, not marked by battle scars or grand victories, but by silence. A silence that cuts deeper than any blade. It's the moment just after the fall, when everything is still. The dust settles, the shouting stops, and the mask of rage slips. And in that raw, unguarded stillness, Truth speaks. Not loudly, not kindly, but with precision. This is what you've become. And that hurts more than anything. Not the failure, not the bruises, but the realization that the enemy wasn't always out there. Sometimes the enemy was in the reflection, in the excuses whispered in the dark, in the comfort of victimhood and the fear of accountability. The harshest truth isn't that the world is brutal. It's that the mind was complicit, that it agreed at some point to be small. But here's where the story twists. That pain, that self-confrontation, that is the beginning of power. Because awareness is not weakness, it's the first weapon. The blade forged in honesty. It slices through delusion, through the fog of comfort and blame. It does not flatter. It does not lie. But it shows the battlefield clearly. And clarity? Clarity is control. See, a warrior who cannot see their own chains can never break them. A warrior who avoids the mirror will never evolve. Awareness exposes the wound, yes, but it also reveals where to aim the healing, where to strike, where to begin. And that is a terrifying, sacred gift. Because once the mind wakes up, once it starts to see the patterns, the sabotage, the cycles, it can no longer play dumb. No longer pretend it doesn't know. No longer pretend the weight it carries isn't partly self-made. And in that awakening, choice is born. Not just the surface-level kind. Should I give up? Should I try again? No, the deeper kind. The kind that splits the soul in two and demands a side. Will you continue to live as the shadow of what you could be? Or will you rise, not as you were, but as who you were meant to become? Because the truth is brutal, yes, but it's also liberating. You are not powerless. You never were. Every voice that told you otherwise, whether from others or your own head, was wrong. They were loud, maybe, convincing, but wrong. Because even at rock bottom, the ability to choose remains. And that ability is sacred. That choice is where everything begins to shift. It doesn't start with strength. It starts with decision. It starts with perspective. It starts with the spine-stiffening, teeth-gritting acknowledgement. This is who I am, but this is not where I end. From that moment forward, the world changes. Not because the world becomes easier, but because the mind becomes harder, sharper, more exact. The fog lifts. The game becomes visible. And finally, the warrior begins to play it. Not from fear, not from desperation, but from awareness. Every move now carries weight. Every habit, every thought, every choice is a piece of the transformation. Every excuse left behind is a chain shattered. Every truth accepted is a step forward, even if it burns. Because warriors aren't built in temples. They're not chosen by fate. They're not born from luck. They are born in the brutal stillness between who they were and who they refuse to remain. And from that place of clear-eyed fire, they rise. Now comes the part that breaks most. The climb, not the fall. That's easy. Gravity does all the work. But rising, step by painful step under weight the bones were never meant to carry, that's the trial, that's the crucible. And it's here where suffering shows its true face, not as punishment, but as the forge. Because growth doesn't bloom in comfort. Comfort coddles. It pacifies. It whispers lies like, "You're fine where you are," while your potential dies a slow, quiet death inside you. But suffering is a hammer. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't offer apologies. It strikes again and again until the old shape breaks and the true form begins to emerge. It's easy to hate it, to resist it, to scream at the sky and demand to know why the path is this hard, why the pain keeps coming. But warriors know better. Warriors understand the code written in the burn. This is how steel is made. A mind that has never been broken will never be sharp. A soul that's never bled will never understand its depth. A will that's never been tested will crumble at the first storm. So let the suffering come, not as a curse, but as a teacher. Let it carve away the excuses. Let it burn the weakness, the softness, the parts that beg for escape. Let it strip you bare until only the essential remains. The raw truth of what you are, of what you're becoming. Because suffering does not define, it refines. Every setback is a strike of the hammer. Every betrayal, every loss, every gut-punching failure, another blow to shape the warrior's edge. And the ones who endure it without losing themselves? The ones who keep moving forward through gritted teeth and silent screams? Those are the ones who come out unrecognizable, stronger, sharper, untouchable. Not because they dodged the fire, but because they walked through it. And here's what no one tells you. You don't come out of that fire whole. You come out remade. The version that entered the forge, that version had limits. That version made excuses. That version relied on hope. The one that emerges relies on discipline, on focus, on choice. Because suffering forces a choice every second. Will this pain break you or build you? The weak collapse and ask, why me? The warrior stands, even bleeding, and answers, let it be me. Let the trials come. Let the nights be long. Let the world test every ounce of resolve. Because the deeper the cut, the deeper the strength can grow. Because the ones who've faced themselves at their worst, they are no longer afraid. They've already lived through the breaking. They've already seen the bottom. And they rose anyway. So now, every challenge is just another weight to lift. Another scar to wear like armor. Another chance to become something even more unshakable. There's no going back. There shouldn't be. Because what's behind was small, was soft, was blind. And what lies ahead is forged, hardened, unstoppable. So when the pain hits, good. When it hurts, good. When it feels like too much, perfect. That means the fire is working. That means something greater is being born. And that means the mind is no longer breaking. It's becoming a weapon. Now it's time. No more waiting. No more excuses. No more wondering whether it's possible. You've seen the path. You've walked through the fire. You've bled, fallen, risen. And now the only thing left to do is own it. The warrior doesn't hesitate when the battle calls. The warrior doesn't shrink, doesn't second guess. The warrior steps into the storm and lets it rage. Because now, the battlefield isn't just a place of survival. It's a place of dominance. And those who've trained their minds in the forge of suffering, they don't ask for permission. They don't beg for mercy. They take what's theirs. Look around. See the weak, the doubters, the ones who still hesitate at the edge of the abyss. Their fear is their prison. Their hesitation is their chain. But you are no longer them. You have shed that skin. Now, you are the one the world will feel, the one they will notice, the one they will fear. Fear? Yes. Because when you stand firm, when your mind is iron and your will is steel, you become something that cannot be ignored. You become the storm that shakes the earth beneath their feet. Those who hesitated, they will tremble when you walk past. The ones who doubted you, they'll whisper your name in fear. And when the world sees you rise, It won't be with the soft gaze of sympathy, the gentle words of encouragement. No, they will stare into the eyes of a force that has no mercy, no retreat, no limit. They will see the truth. You are the threat now, because you've earned it. You've earned the pain. You've earned the scars. You've earned every sleepless night, every moment when the weight seemed too much to bear. And now, as the dust settles and the world waits, you will be the one they feel the tremors of. The weak, they'll hide behind walls. The fearful, they'll second-guess themselves. But you will stand tall, unyielding, undaunted. You will be the one who moves forward when everyone else falls back. You will be the one who charges when others retreat. You will be the one who stares down the impossible and laughs in its face. Because the truth is this: you are no longer the prey. Now, you are the predator. Now, you are the one who decides the fate of the game. No more self-doubt. No more wondering whether you're enough. Because you know now. You've seen who you were. You've seen who you've become. And now, there's nothing left to do except become the force you were always meant to be. So, Stian, stand with the full weight of every battle you've survived, every hardship you've endured. Stand with the strength that comes from knowing you've conquered the hardest enemy, yourself. Stand with the force of a mind unbreakable, a will untouchable, a spirit unstoppable. The world won't wait, and neither will you, because the world will fear you now, not out of hate, but out of respect. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. Every step, every sacrifice, every battle fought and won in silence. So step into the light, warrior. The world awaits. And now, it will know who you are.